Hello, welcome to today's episode of Juicing the Numbers. I'm your host, Joshua Tracy.
And I'm Joshua Tracy.
Oh, shit!
I'm Corwin Heller.
Oh, that's right, folks. We're back. Welcome to the Thursday edition of Juicing the Numbers, your statistics in sports podcast, talking about the NFL today. We'll be going over a little bit of the advanced stats pages from Pro Football Reference. I want to talk a little bit today, Corwin, if I may, about the offensive line.
Oh, God.
And we will also be talking about our predictions. About 4 weeks ago, Corwin and I looked at the advanced stats pages to try to see if we could pinpoint teams who were overperforming or underperforming their production. We picked two teams each. One team to positively positive regression and negative regression were the terms we chose, right?
That sounds about right. I don't remember who I chose, so
I have them written down.
You have it written down? Perfect.
Yeah. So we will be.
To me?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I'm gonna make you sit there and struggle for a while.
Oh, we have such a good podcast. So much love in this room.
Yeah, you know it, bitch.
We're in two different rooms.
Two different states.
Two different states of mind. You won.
All right, Billy Joel.
I give up.
So where would you want to start? Do you want to start with our old predictions, or do you want to start with the O-line?
Let's start with the O-line because I'm interested about what you got to say about the trenches.
So that's the thing. I don't know how much I have to say, but I wanted to try to find some kind of way to evaluate O-line. It's one of the things we talked about as being a really tricky group to really get a feel on. It feels like a very eye test kind of position, especially positional group. It's not disruptive like a D-line is, and it's not as production heavy as like the skill positions are. So it's like, how do we grade this? So I have a bunch of tabs there because I ended up not being sure what I wanted to look at today. But just looking at passing, I created a little stat guy over on the column Y called O-line. And all I did was add together different factors that you would think you could use to judge the O-line off of, gave them weights, put them all together, didn't do anything overly complicated. So I took hurries and I took them as is because I don't think hurries are overly detrimental. Obviously it's something to be avoided, but I don't think they're too bad, right?
No.
You're expected to be hurried at some point.
It's pressure, but it's not necessarily pass affecting pressure.
Yeah, it's something that everyone's aware of, but it's not necessarily, like you said, putting too much pressure on anybody. Then comes in hits. Hits I gave a little bit more weight to. I multiplied that number by 2. So hits obviously worse. Now we're talking actual pressure. That's not what we're looking for out of the O-line. So a little bit worse. After that, we get sacks. Obviously, the worst thing the O-line can let happen. So those get the biggest weight at they get that stack gets multiplied by 5. And then finally we add in tackles for loss, which I gave 0 weight to, as it's a pretty common thing to happen. Obviously still negative, but common enough that weighting it feels like it's not accomplishing anything,
Yeah.
So really straight up, really straight up. I did not do much to this. I just want to see, very baseline, putting this all together, who has a good O-line by this and who does not. So obviously the smaller your number is, the better, because all of these things are negative, and adding them together, continues the trend of this being negative. So do you want to start looking at the smallest of these numbers, in theory, the best O-lines, or do you want to start looking at the lowest of these numbers?
I'm going to say that I can't look at anything because I don't have any of these numbers in front of me. There is no column Y here.
Oh, I must have just added it now. All right. Then I'm I'm going to send it to you, but in the meantime, I'll decide
Okay.
that we start with the low numbers, as I apparently had sent Corwin an old copy of
Yeah, you're
of
like
this
going
document.
through this, and I'm like, did I miss when he talked about where this is? Because I'm not finding any of this information in front of me.
All right, I just sent it to you.
Cool.
Sorry, pal.
It's okay.
So let's start with the what we're going to call the best performing O lines by these metrics. So with a 130, which is less than half of what the worst O line is looking like here, it's the Cincinnati Bengals, a team I wouldn't expect to be considered having a stellar O line here.
No, they definitely have one of the worst.
Yeah.
If not the worst, judging by this.
Well, judging by this, they have the best.
Oh, they have the best. What the?
Yeah. Well, so let's break down how that exactly came about. They have 28 hurries, which just at a glance actually looks to be on the lower end. You know, we have the Dolphins have allowed 43. The Bucks and the Packers have each allowed 42. Skins have allowed 39. The Bengals 28. You know, it's not like super low. The Ravens have only allowed 21, but it's down there. 15 hits again is like the low end of this. 9 sacks is actually pretty good. Especially looking at a few of these other teams. The Bears have allowed 23. The Cardinals have allowed 23. The Saints have allowed 24. Browns 25. Nine's one of the only 2 single-digit sacks allowed. So they're actually the second best team in sacks allowed. Falcons the only team with fewer sacks. And 27 tackles for loss. Yeah, they're actually on the low end of all of these stats. I'm quite surprised.
I very much am as well.
Yeah.
Because by conventional measures, just by, I don't know, going off of what I've heard from scouts and analysts in the NFL, the Bengals O-line is pretty awful. I mean, if you look at PFF grades, they are just all around straight up bad. There's very little redeeming qualities to that. Just what I've heard from, draft prep, what the Bengals are looking for. They're looking for offensive linemen. I mean, they haven't been healthy this year. This is extremely surprising, and I'm very happy we have it in front of us like this.
Yeah.
Because it's definitely not boring, and that's new for us.
It's definitely interesting. Just out of curiosity, I was looking at the advanced rushing stats and yards before contact per attempt. The smallest number we have here is 1.4 yards before contact per attempt, which means the defenders are getting to the running backs very quickly, and that number is held by the Cincinnati Bengals. How many passing attempts do they have? Maybe there's just a volume thing happening here. 338.
Yeah, that's not
That's
a
not
crazy
small.
amount.
That's actually also not relatively high.
Largest to smallest. Yeah, that actually is extremely, extremely high. Wow.
I'm so confused. What
the fuck?
This is really weird. Maybe they're bad against the run, but they're good against sorry, they're bad at run blocking, but they're good at pass blocking. Is that an option?
Yeah, absolutely. Man, this is just like all around. This is crazy rankings.
Yeah,
because they're
not good. Like the Bengals,
no, they're not. They're very bad. Because like the Jets and the Dolphins are pretty high on this list.
The Jets at 7 is fucking
are there.
confusing.
The Texans are there. And then we have teams like the Patriots, the Steelers, 49ers have been hurt, so I'll give them a pass there. Jaguars had a really good line last year. This is something. This is just like me not having anything to say because I'm still digging through this, trying to figure out what I'm looking at. and like what possibly could have caused this.
Here, all right, let's just read out the quote unquote 5 best teams and the quote unquote 5 worst teams O lines based on, again, what is just basic addition and multiplication. Maybe we can fuck with the weights a little bit, but this is odd because I don't like the fact the Jets are so high, having watched a lot of their games and knowing how pathetically bad. Obviously, one of the other things is the O-line affects a lot more. Like if you are constantly getting hit, like the Jets here have 35 hits, which how is that compared to everyone else? Where are you, Jets? Oh, it's actually pretty middle of the road, 13th. Okay. Regardless, if your O-line's letting up a lot of contact to the quarterback, or if they're not letting up the run game, like it does affect gameplay overall, game planning, but it is still weird to see some of these teams looking just at cold numbers and nothing else, performing relatively admirably. So the top 5 in terms of quote unquote best O-lines is the Bengals, the Ravens, the Raiders, the Lions, and the Falcons. 5 teams that are not, well, 4 teams that are not great, and the Ravens. And then the 5 worst O-lines by these measures is the Steelers, the Giants, the Patriots, the Panthers, and the Jaguars. The Jaguars at the bottom there, being the worst. And here we have kind of a weird mishmash of teams. The Steelers are kind of in between right now. The Giants are bad. The Patriots are the Patriots. The Panthers don't know what they are, and I'm not sure the Jaguars do either. But again, these 5 teams are significantly better as a unit than the 5 teams over here at the well-performing O-line section of this spreadsheet. So I'm confused.
All right, so I'm fucking around with all of the weights to see if that affects it.
I was thinking that too, but at the same time, like, I didn't even weight it that crazy, you know? I only gave 2 of these metrics weights at all.
Yeah.
Like, you know?
It really it doesn't change it really in any way.
That's what I'm so like I usually do much more convoluted things and to get better looking results, and here it's would you attribute bad throw percent to the O-line, or is that too much of a stretch?
Can you say that again?
Would you throw bad throw percent into O-line performance, or would that be too much of a stretch based on, you know, things like QB skill?
I think it's not enough to really group that in on its own.
Well, here, you know what? I'm going to throw it in there just to see how it affects the rankings. Give me a weight for it.
For bad throw percentage?
Yeah.
0.5. Well,
So
we
cut it in
we
half?
can't really do percentage because nothing else is a rate stat. It's all just standard.
Oh, that's true. That's true. So do you want to just go with straight up bath throws? We could just leave that unweighted then.
Yeah, it's fine.
All right. Just add that guy in, and I'll spread it down, and let's see how this changes. Sort of smallest to largest. The top 5 is exactly the same. The Cowboys O-line's now a little bit worse. The Jets is a little bit better. The Jets is a little bit worse. Looking at the bottom of our list, it's again about the same 5 teams. The Steelers got a little bit better. The Chiefs got a little bit worse. Not a lot of movement here, which, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to make of this.
I think, man, this is just like, it really just comes down to sacks at this point. You know,
sacks I did give a decently large weight to.
I'm gonna
5.
Yeah, I'm gonna decrease a lot of these just because I don't know. It's kind of crazy.
Just because why not? You know,
Yeah.
I'm gonna fuck around with it a little bit too, just to see if we can change anything about this, because it's just so much. All right, I just changed mine again, and I still have these 5 teams here because the numbers we're pulling from are still going to be the same. Like the Cincinnati Bengals have still allowed the second fewest sacks in the NFL, and very few hits, relatively few hurries. Even what's confusing, I want to look at tackles for loss for just a second here.
I added that to mine. It did not change a thing, just because it's so standard across the league right now.
What's weird is fewest tackles for losses is held by Miami at 23, and then the Bengals and the Packers are tied at 27. But what's strange about that is that the Bengals are also doing the worst in the league in terms of yards before contact per attempt. Like I said, 1.4 yards. So they're getting hit early, but they're not losing yards as a result of it, which feels really odd. Like they're doing a really good job at preventing tackles for loss, but they're not doing a good job at actually getting their runners to move forward untouched. And it feels like one of those two should be the opposite, right? Like if you're letting up a lot of contact on the runner early, there should be more tackles for loss because you're porous on the run. Or if you're not letting up a lot of tackles for loss, you'd expect their yards before contact to be a lot better, which it's by far, well, not by far, but very far from the top of this list. If they doubled their production, they'd still only be tied with the Niners, and still not close to the Baltimore Ravens here, leading this category in 3.3 yards before contact.
See, this is why I don't fuck with O-line stuff.
Yeah.
Because I don't get it.
That's why I wanted to do something. Like we usually do leave this one to people who tell us how good O-lines are, but I wanted to know, and I have no more answers.
I'm lost, and it's driving me nuts.
Yeah,
I just need to call up like Jeff Schwartz on Twitter and just be like, "Yo, give me like a 3-hour crash course. Here's like $200. Teach me, please."
All right. Without looking at the spreadsheet, can
Cool.
you tell me what team has the fewest yards per scramble?
Yards per scramble?
Yeah.
Oh boy. So not who has the most scramble or has the fewest scramble yards, but the team that will attempt it but just sucks so bad they're at the bottom of the list. I'll go with the Patriots.
So
that's not great.
That depends. Because the Patriots have 0 scrambles this year at all. So technically you'd be dividing by 0. Technically they don't qualify for this stat. Which is why I asked. So the fewest yards per scramble with a team with a non-zero number is the Panthers at 2.7, which is pretty there. It's worse than the Jets, and that's pretty hard. But the Patriots have that's the thing that's confusing about the Patriots O-line here, because that's why. All right, so the Patriots O-line showed up as bad because 37 hurries, like that's whatever. It seems middling, like high middle of the pack kind of deal. 14 hits, which seems pretty low. 0 scrambles, but 32 sacks.
Yikes.
That's gotta be, that's almost the most.
The ratio for sacks to hurries and hits is bad. That's really bad.
Yeah, they have the second most sacks in all of football right now, behind the Panthers at 34. And what's crazy is the Panthers have fewer hurries, only one more hit. Yeah, the Patriots just got railed on 32 sacks.
Dante, man, what are you doing? What's going on with this line?
That's so weird. So basically, they're not allowing much pressure, but if they do allow it, Tom gets hit.
Yeah. Well, it's not like he's a spring chicken anymore,
I mean, that is true, but there's so many facets to discussing this. It's tough, you know,
Mm-hmm.
because you're right. Like that's what it is. Tom doesn't move well, so he's just gonna go down because he knows he can't run away, which is like a weird sentence, but he knows he's gonna go down because he can't run away.
Oh god, this is like the worst 50 Shades novel ever.
But at the same time, it's still going to show up as really poor production on the end of his O-line because it's here we are talking about it. They have 32 sacks. That's a fuck ton. I don't know.
Who was it? Dante Scarnecchia is the coach of the offensive line in New England. Get it together, dude.
I was going to say, don't ask me. That is such a you question. I have no fucking clue.
It is Dante Scarnecchia.
Dante Scarnecchi.
His if you Google him, the images are kind of weird.
I don't think I want to Google him now that you said that.
They're just like the first picture of him is him wearing like a self-cut, like whatever it's called when you cut the sleeves off your t-shirt.
Oh yeah,
standing around these giant offensive linemen, and he's like a wrinkly old man. It's just
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, wrinkly old man. I can't believe, just total side note, but I can't believe those shirts are still popular. Those self-cut ones. That shit drives me fucking nuts.
My roommate
the gym a lot.
Wears them all the time. It's ridiculous.
It never looks good.
Jesus, this guy's been coaching for 36 years. Good on him.
Yeah. What's his name again? Scarnecchi?
Scarnecchia.
Scarnecchia?
Mm-hmm.
That's too many letters.
Sorry.
Get rid of a few of those. I don't approve.
All right, you do whatever.
All right, do you want to talk about our predictions here?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, let me pull it up. Okay. So the where do you want to start? Do you want to start with teams who we predicted to negatively regress or teams we picked to positively regress?
I don't know either, so I'll go with whatever.
Then pick one, bitch.
All right, the first one you said.
Negative regression. Okay. I'm just trying to find team total offense on Pro Football Reference, which is weirdly challenging because they're pushing the advanced metrics so hard. Team offense NFL. Oh, this is great radio.
We're not on the radio.
I mean, it's kind of the radio. I feel like we've had this conversation before.
100%.
Oh, just show me the fucking offense. All right, there we go. Jesus fucking
Show
Christ.
me the money.
I hate that movie. All right. So for negative regression, just real quick, Cuba Gooding Jr. now. I can't stop watching that video of him in the club shouting, "Someone suck that baby's dick."
Jesus Christ.
Have you seen it?
No.
Dude, he's standing in the club, like microphone in his hand, spotlight on him, people like going on, and he just shouts, "Somebody suck that baby's dick! Somebody suck that baby's dick!"
All right, I'm watching it now.
It's nuts.
Hold on. He's like, all right, guys, listen up, motherfuckers. Suck that baby's dick. Suck that baby's dick.
Oh, isn't it great?
Sure, if that's what you're into.
I'm dying to know what led him to say that sentence.
Oh man, I always get Cuba Gooding Jr. Confused and like mixed up with the guy who came up with his own math system. He played Rhodey in the first Iron Man.
Oh no, I have no idea. That doesn't. I'm sure you're already Googling it, right?
Yeah, I already am.
I was gonna say it doesn't matter, but you're. I knew you.
Terrence Howard.
Oh, okay.
Cuba Gooding Jr. and Terrence Howard are forever like crisscrossed in my mind. Like I always get those two confused.
Yeah, we all have those guys. All right. So you picked the Ravens to negatively regress. Let's start
And they
with
did.
that. Did they?
I don't know for sure, but based off of watching them up until they played the fucking Pats.
So when we made these predictions, let's see where the Ravens were. Where are you, Baltimore? God damn it, Baltimore. Where the fuck are you, you little sons of bitches? Are you on there? All right, there we go. They had a 45% touchdown, passing touchdown percent to a 26% rushing touchdown percent. They had a bunch of other stats and shit. They had 2,207 total yards. Let's take a look at how they are doing now. 3,416 yards. They have 13 passing touchdowns at the time we did this. They had 12. They have only had one passing touchdown since we did this. Is that possible?
I need to look this up. So
is that even possible? One passing touchdown in 4 weeks?
I don't know. Maybe with a running back as their quarterback. But
yeah, because they had 7 rushing touchdowns and now they have 13. So they've scored 7 touchdowns in the last 4 games, but one passing touchdown? I think the Jets have more than that.
ESPN, your stats are just the fucking worst. Yeah. They had a passing touchdown week 5 against Pittsburgh. These must not have been updated because he just had one again last night or this weekend against New England.
When was that? Wasn't that game Sunday night?
Yeah.
These stats are definitely updated then.
So what weeks are these for? Is this just through week 8?
Yeah, I pulled these stats after week 5. So they played 3 more games
after week 5. That makes sense then.
Yeah, so week 6, 7, and 8, they've scored 6 rushing touchdowns and 1 passing touchdown.
Well, they did have a bye in there, so there's that.
Still, I don't know. Still, 1 passing touchdown is pretty surprising here.
So week 6 against Cincinnati, Lamar Jackson went 21 of 33 for 236 yards, no touchdowns, but rushed 19 times for 152 yards and a touchdown. So that's not exactly a bad day for him. Then against Seattle, he went 9 of 20 for 143 yards, but rushed 14 times for 116 and a touchdown. And then New England, 17 for 23, 163 yards, a touchdown, 61 rushing yards with 2 touchdowns.
Okay.
So he hasn't exactly been super great passing, but he hasn't necessarily been bad passing the ball. He just has also happened to be really good running the ball.
Yeah, I suppose so. Which week was their bye?
Last week, week 8.
Okay. Oh, this is interesting. I'm trying to decide as to whether I think I think that they negatively regressed. It's tough. Did they? Because I guess my question is, did they need to pass the ball? I guess, which feels like a weird sentence. Week 6, Lamar Jackson was the top rusher in the NFL. 19 attempts, 152 yards, and a touchdown.
Yeah, it's hard to look at them and say, hey, there's clear regression here because they basically just switched sides of, where they were getting their yardage and points from. They went from passing the ball a fuck ton to rushing the ball a fuck ton.
They did regress in terms of yards per game. I wanted to try to do it on the kind of on the fly, but I would take just a little bit more effort. in time to do that than I'm willing to do right now. But through the first 5 games of the season, they were averaging 441.4 yards per game. They are now averaging 427 yards per game through 8 games. So while that's still a high number, and that's only 14 fewer yards per game, that means that the last 3 games that they played, games 6, 7, and 8, they performed fewer. They've gotten few enough yards to drag down the first 5 games that far, which leads me to believe they probably haven't gotten the world over in yards in those 6 weeks, or no, in those 3 weeks. I'm pretty sure Pro Football Reference has a week by week breakdown. Yeah. So offense, I want just total yards. Yeah. So in weeks 1 through 5, 643 yards, 440, 452, 395, 277. So that 277 even dragged down their first few weeks, and then the 3 weeks since then, 497, 340, 372. So, you know, I have no strong opinions on this. You?
I'm pretty confident in saying that this is just kind of a push.
I just did the math because I had the numbers in front of me. 403 yards per game in the last 3 weeks as compared to 441 through the first 5 games.
And while like technically that's regression, they're still getting over, 400 yards per game. So if we have to, I would say, sure, I get this on a technicality, but in practical sense, it's really not much regression, if at all.
Yeah, I'm also going to go ahead and say that they probably, if we go by a points per game situation here, they probably actually look better because of how many points they've achieved thus far in these last 3 weeks. Mm-hmm. So weeks 1 through 5, they scored 59, 23, 28, 25, and 26 points for a total of for an average of 32.2 points per game. And then in the last 3 weeks, they scored 23, 30, and 37 points. No, it's still pretty close. That's actually is still less, 30 points per game. Not a lot, though. I guess technically they've regressed. Not a lot, but they have. I guess. Right?
Yeah, I mean, this is we could find other points to argue, but yeah, I think in a practical sense, we can't really say that they've regressed to the extent that we're looking for here.
All right. Yeah, okay. Let's look at the Jaguars, the team that I picked to negatively regress. Where are you, Jacksonville? You sons of bitches. All right, so when I picked them to negatively regress after week 5, God, how do I keep losing Jacksonville, you irrelevant ass city? You nowhere backwards town. They were averaging 392.6 yards per game. They had 54% touchdown percent, a 5% rushing touchdown percent. Yeah, I forgot about that one. And
did we say this was positive or negative regression?
This is negative.
Okay.
And they had scored a total of 111 points. So since then, the Jaguars have played. Have they had their bye yet? Oh, they're about to have. No, they just had their bye.
No, week 10.
No, they're about to have their
bye. Yeah.
Yeah. So since then, we'll start with yards, I suppose. How many did I say they averaged? Forget already.
I don't remember.
392.6. Since week 5, so starting week 6, they have had 226 yards, 460, 389, and 356. And that's 4 games for these guys. So they are now averaging 357.75 yards per game. That has gone down by about 40 yards per game. At the time of my estimation, they had scored 26 points plus 12, 20, 26, and 27 for that total of 111 points over 5 games. That's 22.2 points per game. Since then, they have scored 6, 27, 29, and 3 for a grand total of 13 points per game. Or no, I did that. I gave them one too many games because I did 5 again. They didn't do 5. They only played 4 games. Damn it, Josh. 16.25 points per game. So a huge drop off in production in terms of actual scoring, and a decent drop off in production in terms of total offensive yards per game. I would say I hit the nail on the head on this one. If I can pat myself in the back for a second.
Yes, you did. Pat yourself on the front if you want.
I'll pat myself in the middle, where no one ever touches. Yeah. I don't know what that means.
Jesus.
Yeah, I don't really see their expected points are also super low. I'm not sure what that means, but I'm seeing sharp negative numbers, which I would assume is bad, as that tends to be. What have you made of the Jaguars since we made this prediction?
I mean, in the 2 games that they kind of completely flopped against was against the Saints and the Texans, both very, very good teams with good defenses. And the 2 teams that they won against and did very well were the Bengals and the Jets. So honestly, I feel like this is just an average team beating up on bad opponents and losing to good opponents. And that's just, that's just the way it is.
That's just the way it is.
Do-do-do, do-do-do.
This will never be the same. Real quick, how many more rushing touchdowns do you think they've gotten since I made this prediction? Back when I did, they only had 1.
3.
0.
Yikes.
0. They still only have 1 rushing touchdown this entire fucking season.
That's just so fucking bad, man.
I can't believe that. I can't believe it. They had 1 4 weeks ago, and then 4 weeks, they still haven't gotten another rushing touchdown.
God, Leonard Fournette has 174 rushes for 831 yards, so a 4.8 average, averaging 92.3 yards per game, yet still only has 1 touchdown.
As a fantasy owner, I'm so conflicted because he always gets the yards. Wow. Yeah, they had 10 passing touchdowns when I did this, and they have 14. So 4 touchdowns in 4 games offensively is pretty fucking bad.
Yeah, they only scored offensive touchdowns in 2 of their last 4 games.
Yeah, but the fact that not even one of them, their touchdown percent was 54% for passing and 5% for rushing, and those figures get even crazier, which I just find to be so hard to believe because, 1 rushing touchdown through 9 weeks. It's about to be 10 because they're going to have a bye through 10 weeks. What the fuck, Jacksonville?
This is like what happened with Julio for the past 3 years, where he'll get you 150 yards a game, but they never look at him in the red zone, and he just never gets those kind of end zone touches or targets.
But the thing is, at least Julio's a whole ass man. He's one guy. This is a whole off. That's saying Jacksonville wasn't even set up on 1st and goal from the 1, and Minshew kind of just boot scooted his way into the end zone. Nothing. All right, who do you think has more rushing touchdowns? Jacksonville or Tom Brady?
I'm gonna say it's a push because I feel like Tom Brady has 1 rushing touchdown, 1 sneak somewhere.
I'm pulling up the Patriots log right now, looking for Tom Terrific. Tom Brady, show me, that's your passing stats. Show me your rushing stats, Tom. In 2019,
Show me what
he
you
has,
got.
ooh, you would be wrong. He has 3.
He has 3 rushing touchdowns.
Tom Brady this season has 3 rushing touchdowns.
That's a hard yikes.
Tom Brady. Tom Brady.
Tom Brady?
Tom Brady has 3 rushing. 3 yards. 14 rushes for 3 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Hey man, he's not perfect.
All right, hold on, just real quick, because this is very confusing. Tom Brady has 14 rushes for 3 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 4 first downs.
What?
Yeah, I don't get how that makes any sense.
What?
Ooh, do you think that these are like, third and inches, so they don't count as full yards?
That would make sense, but I can't believe there'd be so many of them.
Yeah, but it just seems so fucking improbable. But yeah, 14 rushes, 3 yards, 3 touchdowns, 4 first downs. Is a bizarro stat line.
Sure, dude. I guess that'll be my response.
I want to know if this is going to be the first season in history where a player has more first downs than rushing yards. No, like, I'm not even joking. I want this to happen. Like, this is amazing. Like, this might be like my new favorite abnormality.
My favorite is there was one game back in the early 2000s where Jerome Bettis had 3 touchdowns on 1 yard because he got 3 goal line carries from like the couple inches out.
Doing us proud, that man.
The bus.
Bus. All right. Shall we go to our positive regression predictions?
Yes.
Any guess who you picked?
I want to say I picked like the Bears or something.
You picked the Steelers.
Oh, thank God, because I am. That's actually not much better.
No, it's not.
That's not better at all.
I haven't actually looked. All right, so at the time of doing this, the Pittsburgh Steelers were averaging 280.6 yards per game.
Oh, I don't think we're beating that.
They had 7 passing touchdowns, 3 rushing touchdowns. It's a 42% passing touchdown percent and an 18% rushing touchdown percent. And since then, they no, Corwin, I think you might have picked well here. So
I didn't. You want to know why I know that?
Hold on. I think I'm already wrong. So since then, since week 5, starting week 6, they've had 256 rushing yards, 390 total yards, 394 yards, and 273 yards. So they've only played 3 games since then. Yeah, week 7 bye.
Jinx.
Suck my dick from the back. All well and told for a 307.7 yards per game, which is 20 yards per game better than their 1 through 5 mark.
I'm gonna call bullshit on myself because they had one game against the Dolphins where they nearly put up 400 yards and were trashed in the other 2. So this is all just fake news. Steelers are still bad. They just got lucky enough to play the Dolphins right before we pulled these stats.
Well, hey, like everyone's got to play a Dolphins every now and then.
It's true. Unfortunately, we don't get them twice a year.
Well, unfortunately for the Jets, it looks like we do. Since we can't even beat them the first time.
That's a sad laugh.
In the first 5 weeks of the season, the Steelers scored 3 points, then 26, 20, 27, and 23. For an average points per game of 19.8, which is not super. And I can tell you right now, they're doing better than that, as they've scored since then 24 24, 27, and 26 points, which is good for a 25.7% or 25.7 points per game. So I would say offensively they have progressed. They have positive regression.
They do. That's what they always say about the Steelers, though. Always mediocre.
Who says that? They're always winning.
Absolutely no one.
Yeah. I always want to see they score 3 rushing touchdowns. But when we reported this, how many have they got now? Curious.
Rushing touchdowns. Let's see.
Why can't I find just their generic ass team stats? There we go. 5. So they've got a few more there. Passing touchdowns. Now they have 11 than they had before. 7. Oh yeah, they're doing fine. I would say you picked well. I would say you picked a good team for this.
Thanks, Big J.
Any finer points on the Steelers before we move on to my team?
I still don't think. Well, I don't know. I am still uncertain on whether or not Mason Rudolph is much of anything, but I don't think we're going anywhere this season. That's for sure.
Well, that's why you and I picked the same strategy. We pick teams who appear to have bottomed out, assuming that they could not move any further down. So the only place for them to move was up, which brings me to my pick of the Jets. And I am not confident that they got better. I am just not. Through the first 5 weeks of the season, which for them includes their bye week, so they only played 4 games in the first 5 weeks. They were averaging 179.5 yards per game. They had one single passing touchdown. They had one single rushing touchdown. Each of those accounting for respectively 15% of their total scorings. Actually, it can't possibly have gotten worse than that. I mean, it really can't have. Let's take a peek, shall we? So, in the most recent games since then, starting in week 6 and moving on, they have had 382 yards, 73. Ooh, God, forgot about that game. I was at that game. 167 yards and 238 yards. Which is 860 yards from weeks 6 through 9.
Those are just passing yards.
What, did I really just pull passing yards? Oh, wow, I really did. I had my cursor on total and just didn't read it. All right, 382, 154, 213, and 321, much friendlier looking number for 1,070 yards. Divide that by, we had 4 games. Yeah, 4 games since then. 267.5, which is by far got to be the biggest increase, as that's 90 more yards per game than before.
I don't know how you could beat that over like a 4-week to 4-week stretch.
I don't think I could see how you could beat it as a raw number, and especially as a percent.
Oh, for sure.
Because as a percent, that's a 30% increase, just about. Like, that's huge.
Imagine like the Chiefs last year getting a 30% increase on their yardage.
Yeah, I mean, for most teams, and this is a huge dig at the Jets, but it's my team. For most teams, a 30% increase in their production will put them probably in a playoff possible contention. Outside of maybe like, the Skins are so bad, and the Bengals are so bad. But you take any middling team. You take the Patriots, or the Steelers.
Middling Patriots.
The Patriots. There's awful Patriots. You take the Steelers and you give them a 30% bump in their yards per game. They're probably going to be doing a lot better. Anyway, through the first 5 weeks, which is again only 4 games for the Jets, their average points per game was 9.75. Oof. Since then, they've scored 24 points, 0, 15, and 18. So not great, but 14.25 is still 5-ish yards more per game, which is an increase. It's also just about a 50% increase. So a pretty sizable one as a percent, even though it's not a sizable one by an actual number. Regular ass numbers. But even though the Jets still really suck, I'd have to say that my pick of them underperforming was overwhelmingly true.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
it's
best.
definitely a moral victory, but hey, they did it.
Yeah, so the Jets and Steelers don't suck as much as we truly think they do, but the Bears still do.
Yeah.
Got that jab back in.
Yeah,
Sorry,
fuck
go
the
ahead.
Bears. fuck them Bears. Uh, I would say outside of the Ravens pick, which even then you could make an argument you were right, not by a whole lot, but you did appear to still be right. I'd say we did pretty well with this.
Oh yeah. I mean, granted, I don't think we took
Audacious
wildly
team.
crazy. Yeah, we didn't. Wow, what a good vocab word. I'm literally just tried to use it in a sentence myself and forgot what it was. So fuck. But yeah, it's not like we took crazy picks, but still good picks nonetheless.
I kind of want to pick new teams now.
I'm sure.
All right.
Where do I go to see total offense? 2019 team stats. God damn.
Go
I'm
to
stupid.
NFL standings and team stats and just scroll past the standings. It'll be down there.
Total yards. Wow. Texans, Seahawks, Chiefs, Cowboys. Who is gonna regress? As for positive regression, man,
Yeah, you
hard to
pick your
say.
positive. I'll pick my positive. Or do you want me to go first? Because I do have a team.
Uh, sure, go ahead.
I'm going to take the Falcons
2.
to positively regress.
Okay. That's a good pick. I like that.
Yeah, I was actually just combing through their passing stats when I was trying to come up for an idea for this episode. Their passing stats are actually pretty good. As you can see, just by this isn't the world's greatest indicator, but their passing touchdown total is really high. 17 passing touchdowns is a lot. Their rushing game has been pretty disappointing, but I think overall, combined with the fact that somehow we showed their O-line to be not awful, and the fact that they can't keep being this bad, I would certainly say that they've been underperforming. So I will take them. Write that down because Lord knows we need to write everything down here.
Yeah, we do.
I will take for my positive regression round 2 as the Falcons.
Okay, I thought you were taking a second pick, and I was like, Josh, that's the same as your first pick. Good one. I could cheat and take the Saints because obviously they are going to positively regress now that Drew Brees is coming back, but I won't do that. I'm gonna go with the Browns here. I think that they're getting Kareem Hunt back. That obviously can't hurt. I think just the more they try and fix what's going on with that offense, the closer they're going to get to actually making something work in the slightest. Hopefully Freddie Kitchens can get the wide receivers involved because that's just such a huge strength for that team. So I'll go with the Browns.
Okay, all right. Let's look for some negative regression here.
Man, I really want to pick the Falcons just so that we have something to battle against, but I'm not going to do that because I kind of agree with you. Man.
Yeah, I know, right? I will take the Bills.
Okay.
I don't feel super confident about it, but I'm looking at just a couple baseline stats because last time we did this, we had pulled up what we thought could be more predictive stats, which obviously we're not doing right now because we're doing this one more on the fly. So I'm taking more on the fly a look at it. Out of the few 10 top 10 fewest passing touchdowns,
Mm-hmm.
they are in that list. They only have 11 on the season. and they're the only team I think with a winning record here. As the other teams here are the Jets, the Browns, the Broncos, the Bears, the Panthers, the Cardinals, Bengals, Finns, and Skins. So I think that's going to come into play. And they also have a pretty decent amount of interceptions. Not like crazy high, but kind of up there. Their run game has obviously been good. I don't feel super great about this. Their expected points, they seem to be outperforming. So I'm going to tentatively take the Bills. Negative regression.
All right, I'm with you. For mine, I could take another easy one and say the Broncos. Now that Flacco's out, they're kind of just going to be a whole mess. But again, I won't do that. I'm going to go with the Detroit Lions. Now that Kerryon Johnson's out, I don't think they're going to have really any luck rushing the ball like they did before they brought in Kerryon. They don't have the easiest schedule. They don't have the hardest schedule down the road. But I just don't think they're going to be as dynamic. And in turn, I think that's going to make Matt Stafford suffer a little bit in his stats. So I'm going to take the Lions.
Really, really good pick.
Thanks, man.
All right. Do you want to do another 4 weeks out, or do you want to extend this out farther?
Let's do 4 weeks. Why not? Keep it symmetrical.
Cool. Then we'll have one more when we do that one to close out the season. So we'll have 2 more rounds of predictions. Although that second round might be a little bit tougher, since we'll probably have benched players on winning teams. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
Yeah, exactly. We're not going to think ahead. Fuck that.
We talked about the Jaguars earlier, but we didn't touch on the fact that Gardner Minshew is going to be benched for Nick Foles. Do you have any opinions on this?
Yeah, I have mixed feelings. Part of me wants to see them stick with Gardner Minshew to really close out the year and see what they can develop him into to see if he can grow a little bit more. But on the other hand, he hasn't been playing wonderfully. Nick Foles is coming back healthy. You also really haven't seen much of what he can do in that offense. So I think this is them trying to see both sides of the coin before they make a decision next year about what they want to do at quarterback. I don't think they're necessarily thinking they can go anywhere in that division, which they can't. So I think this is them just trying to give both horses some play.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think they're just trying to evaluate, because they do have a losing record right now at 4-5, but they're also second place in their division. They're tied with Tennessee, but they have a better conference win percent, so that's how they're ahead of them. But the Colts, they're third place in the division. My bad, third place in the division. The Colts are there at 5-3, and the Texans are there at 6-3. So no one's run away with the division. Texans are probably going to keep pulling ahead because the Texans are very good. But there is room for them to catch up. They're currently 3 teams. They have to leapfrog 2 more teams to be in a wild card spot. They have to pass the Raiders and the Steelers and then beat out the Colts. But the Raiders are 4-4. The Steelers are 4-4. Like, the AFC wild card is pretty fucking open right now. At least the wild card 2 spot. So they definitely want to be as competitive as possible. But if they were like the Broncos and like life didn't matter anymore, they'd probably just play Minshew throughout the rest of the season.
Yeah, I honestly think we're going to see Minshew again before the season's over. We'll just have to see how Foles does in the meantime.
Yeah, it'll be interesting, that's for sure.
Oh yeah.
I'm not sure. Were there any other like actual football headlines recently? I'm going to say no because of that fucking cat being everywhere from the fucking Giants-Cowboys game. If we're really spending that much fucking time talking about a goddamn cat on a football field, nothing happened this week.
Yeah, there hasn't been much. I mean, there's been the talks of moving the Chargers to London,
which quickly got squashed.
Right, like, we could talk about it, but at the same time, it's just such a non-story,
Well,
you
it's
know?
also a non-story because it's a fucking awful idea. It's so
Yeah.
stupid. They're never going to do it.
It's just one
No
of those
NFL team
ideas
will
where,
ever
like,
be based in London.
I do not ever even wanna see them attempt to make this happen.
No, think about the crazy ass logistics of doing it for a whole like one team all season. Like
It's just it
your
would fuck the
shortest
team
commute,
over so bad.
your shortest commute for an away game would still be you changing time zones significantly, not 1 hour. Like when you go from um, New York to Minnesota, but it'd be 4 whole ass hours just to get from of time change, just to get from London to New York. Lord forbid you have to play the West Coast teams. Then you're looking at 7 hours. I mean, it's ridiculous. They never do it.
Yeah, I mean, there's just been so many players and former players that have come out. Like I know Pat McAfee talks about it in depth, where certain teams just can't get it together when they go through London, go to London and play these games. Like maybe it's just them not preparing well. Maybe it's some other factors and things we can't see, but there's just so much that would affect a team playing on a regular basis, both teams who always have to go there to play and them having to come over here all the time. There's just so much that could fuck with the team that I just don't get why they think that would be a positive addition to the competitiveness of the NFL.
I forget. It was the Chargers they were talking about moving, right?
Yes.
Aren't they like getting a new stadium?
I thought so.
Yeah, that's the other thing that confused me about the team that these rumors chose to circulate about, because the Chargers, who just moved to LA,
Mm-hmm.
and are gonna
back to San Diego.
That's what I'm saying. Like if the Chargers were legit gonna move a year and a half, I guess 2 years at the time this would take place in theory, you really think it'd be to fucking London? London, this team, like, no, stupid. Like, why would they? Doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense. Move the Bucks. Tampa doesn't deserve sports teams.
Yeah, I mean they could move the Patriots too. They're the closest. I also wouldn't mind.
I wouldn't. Yeah,
that actually would be a super great addition to the competitiveness of the NFL if they move the Patriots over to the.
They should move the Patriots to Montreal to make Bruins fans super conflicted.
I'm all aboard.
Yeah, that'd be hilarious. Oh, because hey, it either works out great, or it either works out poorly and you just move the Patriots back, or you finally stop Bruins and Canadians games from getting so goddamn chippy. You might just create world peace.
That would be fucking something to see.
Yes, sir, it would be. All right, you ready to get out of here?
I guess there's one more thing. Cam Newton.
Oh, yeah, sure.
IR.
Oh, yeah, I saw this.
It's just more disappointing than anything. He's such a great football player, and he plays such a different kind of football than anyone else in the NFL ever has. Hopefully his foot can get back together and be put in healthy shape for next season, because the NFL is a worse place without him. Plus, with what Christian McCaffrey has turned into, seeing both of those guys at full health running the ball,
Well, isn't this the last year of his contract?
Yes.
Yeah, so that remind me also of one of the stupidest takes I saw on Twitter today. Of someone tweeted out, if this is Cam Newton's last season with the Panthers, it might as well be his last season in the NFL, because who would need him?
Actually, he does have one more year. He's under contract for 2020.
Oh, and that makes the tweet I saw even fucking stupider. Because I could rattle off a few teams who would probably be willing to have a Cam Newton.
Is there like a hidden player option here that I'm not seeing?
What?
Like on this contract, I don't know why everyone, like, because I saw plenty of those tweets as well, talking about Cam Newton leaving and going. Like, I saw rumors about the Bears wanting to go grab him and stuff like that.
The Bears could benefit from him. The Bucks could benefit from him, depending on how what you want to do with what's his fucking name in Philadelphia? Carson Wentz. Granted, I think he's been fine this season. I haven't really checked. I don't care. The Eagles could take him, depending on what the Dolphins want to do after this season. If they end up drafting a new quarterback, they could bring in Cam Newton for like a short-term contract to help him brace the rookie. You know, bring him up. Depending on what the Browns want to do, they could sign him as well. Depending on what the Bengals want to do, they could sign Cam Newton. There's depending on what the Titans want to do, because they probably won't finish with a high enough draft spot to draft a real, a top 3 quarterback. They might want Cam Newton. Like, he's not. You're right. He's not going to leave football because he's so fucking good, and everyone's like, the people I've been seeing saying he might. God, you people are the reason Twitter fucking sucks.
Oh yeah.
Like, we're still talking about Colin Kaepernick as a QB talent, politics aside, being able to play in the NFL, and that motherfucker got kicked out of the league 3 years ago. And Cam Newton's way better than him.
Yeah, that's not a debate.
So yeah, no shot we're seeing the last of Cam Newton.
Unless the injury is that much worse than we thought. That's the only way we don't see Cam Newton again.
Which would be so fucking sad.
Or he announces he's going to run for presidency in 2020 and he's joining some fucking ticket on some party.
Yo, could you imagine the outfits?
Oh, ooh. Ooh.
Could you imagine the Cam Newton campaign trail outfits?
I don't know if Cam Newton is a Republican or not, but just thinking of him trying to stylishly match a MAGA hat with the rest of the outfits he tries to put together is kind of hilarious. All politics aside, that hat choice with what he tries to do everywhere else would be fucking funny.
God, I kind of want to see it now. It'd be amazing.
Yeah, call up Cam Newton, see if he's willing to do that for whatever reason.
All right, you ready to get out of here now?
Let's do it.
All right, if you want to follow the show on Twitter, you can do so at JuicingPod. If you want to hit us up via Gmail, you can do so at juicethenumbers@gmail.com. And if you want to find show notes for this episode and all previous episodes, you can do so at juicethenumbers.wixsite.com/website and juicethenumbers.com. And until Monday, y'all have a good one.
Bye.